Hello, I'm Elaine, and I'm a tour guide in the French Quarter. I do ghost tours, and I am not going to tell you the stories I tell on my tour because you got to pay for those. But if you want to hear some interesting things that have happened to me while I'm leading random drunk people around the French Quarter, I got you.
Alrighty. So it's been a while since I've recorded one of these because it's been a relatively calm time for me. But the last couple of days have been, honestly, the last couple of weeks have been interesting and not in a fun telling stories kind of way. We've had a lot of conventions in town and they've been good guests, but not great tipping guests. And there's definitely the vibes that there are some bad drugs on the streets because some of the people that are usually very calm and polite and peaceful have not been. And tonight, at the very beginning of my tour, like when my guests are still gathering, there's a guy that I'm keeping an eye on because he keeps talking to himself and does not sound happy when talking to himself. And also, at first I thought it might just be the coloration of his pants, and then I was like, no, he's waddling. He has, in fact, peed himself. Okay. And it was fine. He was off to the side, and I was just okay, he's there. That's fine. He's not bothering anyone. There's no reason for us to be worried about him. And there was a guy that came up and chatted with him for a minute, and they both seemed really angry when he was there. And then that guy left, and I'm like, okay, life is fine. And then the guy had peed himself left, and I was like, oh, perfect. It's time to start the tour, and everything's nice and calm. And I am in the middle of my second story when a guy rides by on a bicycle, and he may or may not have been the guy that came up and talked to the first guy, but I do know that when he rode by on his bicycle, he looked at my group, did a U-turn in the middle of the street to come back and ride his bike in a circle around us while screaming at us. And it was one of those, I could not hear what he was saying. Like, I do not know. I heard the word fuck at least a couple of times, and I think I heard the word chaos, but that was about it. And I could tell he was screaming at us, but, could not tell what he was screaming. And so I tried to ignore him, thinking he'd go on, because usually that's the best way to do it. And when he would not and started making direct eye contact and getting closer, I stopped and went, "Sir, can I help you?" And he did not respond, so I said it again, and then he screamed something about "fuck you," and I asked again, "Can I help you?" And I was getting my group ready, I was literally waving them on to move when he turned and rode away. And I'm like, oh, perfect, now I can continue. That was a bit weird, but we're fine. And then he came back, and I had one line of the story left. So I was trying desperately just to finish the story. And he's riding around us, getting louder and louder and getting closer and closer. And then he stops at the spot where there's some construction rubble from where they're redoing a bit of the sidewalk. And I see him lean down and stand back up with a brick. And I stop in the middle of a word and go, "We're leaving. Come with me." And I start waving my guests on, and of course, they're trying to see what's going on. They don't want to turn their back to this guy, so they're taking their time to move, and, some of the guys are trying to put the girls, on the other side from them and trying to be all chivalrous, but it's just slowing things down, and I'm just waving, going, "Guys, come, come, come. Literally, just keep walking, just keep walking, just keep walking." And finally we get away, and he's sort of standing where he was, straddling his bike and holding this chunk of brick and, waving it towards us. And I'm like, and we're moving, and we're moving, and we're moving. And the great thing is, I was still within, visible distance of the meeting location. And the next group of tour guides was already there, gathering around. So as I'm walking by, I'm going, "Guys, don't go down that way. That dude just pulled a brick and tried to threaten to hit us with it." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And that goes to show what kind of mood New Orleans is in, because it was just "oh, okay," rather than a "holy shit, do we need to call the cops?" Because no, it's just been that kind of week. So if you are in New Orleans right now, just for your own safety, please don't do drugs. There's something nasty on the streets out there tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out my book, Drunks of the French Quarter Theater, available on Amazon, bookshop.org, Barnes & Noble, pretty much wherever.